Any nation that wants to grow, any nation that desires development and growth, must first of all prioritize education. Unfortunately, Nigeria is a nation of 200 and something million people and over 300 ethnic groups does not pay adequate attention to education, or at least prioritize it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching me from. This remains the Diary of a Broken Man, where we dissect political, economic and social issues concerning our country, Nigeria. Remember to subscribe, to like, to share, and to help us in the comment section bring forth your ideas how we can make Nigeria better again. Today, we touch on the education crisis in Nigeria and the challenges we face in Nigeria and the alternatives, solutions to these problems. The first challenge we have in Nigeria is out-of-school children. In fact, UNICEF has reported that we have over 20 million out-of-school children. Not to talk of those who graduated from being out of school, those who became adults from the level of being out of school. Let us not talk about under-education, those who go to schools and have no textbooks, those who are deprived of so many things within that academia. Let's not talk about them. We are talking about out of school, those who are not, around the northern part of Nigeria. The Statistics Bureau of Nigeria made a statistical analysis of education, and it's annoying. It's painful for a nation that is regarded as the giant of Africa. So Nigeria faces a staggering number of out-of-school children, the highest globally, highest number of out-of-school children globally. Now, what are the key drivers and the key reasons for these out-of-school children? Number one is poverty. Families prioritize survival over education, with children engaged in child labor. Children are hawking, children are begging, children are undergoing so many. You see them and you pity them. That is Nigeria for you. They just came out to the world. Without their permission, they are brought out to be suffered. Another thing is regional disparities. Northern states affected by insurgency like Boko Haram, like banditry, like kidnapping, see disruption in their educational system and the safety of their children. So we've seen situations where children were kidnapped in the schools. The Chibok girls, whether it's true or as we heard it, or maybe a hoax, but the truth is the scenario keeps happening, where children are kidnapped in their school system. Another issue is gender equality. Out-of-school children is not just our problem. Other out-of-school children, the major one is the girl child education. Because in certain part of Nigeria, in 2025, 21st century, people are still arguing about child marriage instead of how to get our girls to become the best they could be. The best pilots, the best dancers, the best musicians, the best doctors, nurses, the best lawyers, the best engineers. So many other countries are incorporating their women now to become the best of the best of the best. Ours are still debating on how to marry 9-year-old girls and 12-year-old girls, to old men in 2025. So the issue of gender inequality, exacerbated by cultural norms in some regions, limit girls' access to education. Another thing is infrastructural gaps. Now, rural areas, in so many rural areas, you find dilapidated schools. You see them with schools without windows, schools without security, schools with bushes all around them and all sorts, schools without seats where they sit down, without whiteboards, without so many lacks. Then some children have to go distances, very far distances, travel unsafe distances, very unsafe, go through the bushes, go through this and through that just to get to schools. Now, what is the impact of this kind of situation of out-of-school children? This perpetuates cycle of poverty. Poverty keeps recycling, unemployment, and then vulnerability to extremism. Because Boko Haram, all these bandits, how they co-opt these young boys and young girls, because some of them don't have options. And so what they see, they do for survival. A nation that fails to pay attention to her children is doomed for to be in a vicious cycle. So we recycle poverty, we recycle unemployment and vulnerability to extremism. So let's not talk about child abuse. Let's keep that aside. The child exploitation, child trafficking, and so many other things that come with lack of education and out of school children, the out of school children syndrome. And all these things in general undermine our national development. In general, because if any nation that wants to grow must first of all pay attention to education. It's those who are educated will make research that will change the nations. Whatever development we are seeing in America today, whatever development we are seeing in United Kingdom, we are seeing in Europe, in China, in other parts of Asia, all of them come from research done by the young students of those countries. Sponsored research by the states. That Russia has this nuke, that they have this, that they have that, was built by human beings. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, those who have those kind of creative excellence and creative imagination find their ways to other countries where they are appreciated, where they are helped, where they are nurtured. Because it is believed that if you stay in Nigeria, that talent may die off. In fact, at some point, EFCC or one of those security agencies may even harass you. If they see you carrying laptop, or maybe, God save you, you have dreads, then you have become a criminal, you have become a Yahoo boy. Who knows whether you are a tech savvy guy or you have creativity, so to speak. For the fact that you have dreads, or maybe you have earrings, fashion. So appearance now defines a human being. Well, this is the kind of Nigeria we are. Now, the next issue under our discussion is university system crisis. ASU strikes and underfunding of universities. These are the issues we are facing in Nigeria. Remember, we've talked about, out of school children and the reasons those things persist, like poverty, like gender inequality, and then infrastructural gap, and the effects it has in our nation, the impact it has. It recycles poverty, extremism, and then undermines our national development. Now, on the second part, we want to talk about university, system crisis, where we cited issues concerning university crisis like ASU strikes and underfunding of universities, underpayment of lecturers, lack of research materials, and so on and so forth. So let's go on. ASU strike. That's the next one. Frequent strikes by academic union protests poor funding, unpaid salaries, and decaying infrastructures. Strikes delay graduation and then erode education quality and fuel brain drain. As talents migrate to other nations, like I said, if you have opportunity maybe to go to Europe and they get what will benefit your family, because now if you fall in as much as everybody wants to build Nigeria, first of all, your family is the first the nucleus of your own society. You have to take care of yourself and your family first, then before you talk about the nation. Otherwise, hunger will kill all of you. Okay, so ASU strike undermines all this. Number 2 is underfunding. Nigeria allocates less than 7% of its budget to education, versus UNESCO, that is, let's put it side by side with UNESCO, that has over 20%, recommendation, or 15% at least. But Nigeria has less than 7%, sometimes 6%, 5% to her education, and they are renovating VP's house with 20 billion, buying private jet and buying this and buying that, buying SUVs from. They have money for all these things. They write them with pen. And we hear billions and trillions. And then the major nucleus of our education is neglected. So the result of this underfunding is poor infrastructure, crowded classroom. Have you been to Nigerian universities? Have you been to secondary schools, especially government schools? A class is supposed to be 25 kids or 25 boys and girls, as the case may be. In Nigeria, you see 100 and something in one classroom, 200, 300, 500 students are packed in one class. Some are standing outside, some are standing. Let's not talk about there's no electricity. They have to fan themselves. I don't want to remember my experience doing first degree in Nigeria. So the impact of this, students face prolonged academic timeline, dwindling morale, skepticism, and then susceptibility to join different gangs and do different things for survival. That is where all this issue of Yahoo and all this came, because what opportunities do they have? What does the state provide for them as people who come from the particular state? Now, alternatives, tech-driven alternatives, like the Outschool Africa, innovation amid crisis. Now, startups like Outschool Africa offer agile, skill-based learning. Example, coding, digital skills, web development and so on, through online platforms. Unfortunately, on the flip side of it, on the good side of it, it's affordable, it's flexible, and the industry-aligned programs that bridge skill gaps and connect learners to jobs. But it has challenges. It's limited reach due to Nigeria's digital divide. 40% internet penetration. As at 2025, we still have over 60% of over 40-30% of Nigerians not using internet. So how will they get access to these kind of things? And then employer bias towards traditional degree in non-tech sectors. We see issues where people suffer themselves to master ICT, different skills in ICT, and people prefer traditional certificates over quality, which baffles my imagination. Now, interconnected crisis of education in Nigeria generally. The out-of-school crisis reduces the pipeline of university entrance, while university instability pushes students towards tech alternatives. However, tech solutions alone cannot solve systemic neglect of public education. Now, what solutions do we have? How do we salvage this situation? How do we make it worth the while? Number one is government action. What role does the government play? Increase education funding, that is number one. 2. Improve security in conflict zones. Enforce policies for free compulsory basic education. Basic education is a given, for Christ's sake, but in Nigeria it is not. Number 2 is to reform the universities, address ASU demands transparently, upgrade infrastructures. I wonder what our politicians do when they travel to Asia, Europe and America and the United Kingdom. Because all of them do. They have their children there. I wonder what they see, or whether they have amnesia. Like they go there, they see these wonderful things. They go to Oxford University, they go to Cambridge, they go, Stanford University, and they come back and they forget all these beauties and all this development they see, and come back to classrooms without windows. Some of them senators in their constituencies, the universities there have no windows. It doesn't bother them. Ministers, I'm not talking about ministers, I'm not talking about different governors, because in Nigeria we don't take our governors serious. We don't make them accountable. We only focus on the president, the center. These governors need to be, asked to account for, the 4 years and 8 years there. Because all of them are part of the problem we have in Nigeria. All these others and other parastatals, because we seem to forget all those ones too. Leverage tech, that's another solution. Expand digital access through public-private partnership and integrate hybrid models, online plus in person, into national education strategies. In conclusion, Nigeria's education crisis demands urgent and the holistic action. While tech innovations provide stopgap solutions, sustainable progress requires systemic reform, political will, and equitable resource allocation to ensure quality education for all. Just as the great people would say, education gives you the means. If Nigeria wants to be among the best of nations, the only thing that can guarantee us that those means is education. We prioritize it, we make it a must, we push it. In fact, Nigeria needs to, place the whole of our focus on education and security as far as Nigeria is concerned. Well, that is it. So, on the comment section, I want to hear your reactions. How do you think we can remedy our education system? How do you think we can make it work? Especially our universities. How do you think we can improve research? Research in different sectors, in music, in some of these things, as ICT, different. Our mates are going to the moon, going to the Mars. I don't know where we are headed. World powers. These were built by young boys and young girls. They are creative inventions, but they were encouraged by the state. Join me in the comment section. Let's see. Remember to subscribe, to share, to like, and engage. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Cheers.